Anyway, but we kind of want to get right into our topic today because I did quite a bit of preparation for it to show you the tools that we often use for space clearing and multiple tools and different ways that you can do it. We have been talking about space clearing the entire month. And so this is also now to like why you would clear your space, some of the different methods of clearing space. And now what we want to show you today is some of the tools that we use for clearing space. And so there's lots of different ways that you can do it. There's lots of different methods, techniques, energies you can work with. And you can also use some that you have already been using and combine them with something new that you learn. So lots of different ways. Reiki energy naturally clears space and then empowers the space it clears. So it always has that two-part component. There is the release and the filling back in, or the empowerment part. So in this case, where we are using Reiki energy with tools and techniques to clear the space, there are ways that you can do that physically. So what I'm about to show you would have maybe a little bit more ritual to it. The technique itself, I can choose to use it quickly, and I can also choose to make it a ceremony and to actually do a whole ceremony using these tools around for space clearing. And always with the understanding that the technique and the Reiki energy itself is going to both clear the space, and when it clears the space, the energy of Reiki will carry what is cleared, what is released, what needs to be healed, any negative or unwanted or unhealthy, or as Danny called it, wonky energy. Sometimes it's not so serious as like, oh man, it's so negative. Sometimes it's just wonky. So, anytime you want to clear the space, the Reiki energy is going to lift what you clear into a level of consciousness where it's healed. So it's not just cast out or burned up or thrown somewhere, it's actually healed. So the energy itself is transformed through the Reiki energy and the higher consciousness and higher frequencies that Reiki energy carries. When you're working with Reiki energy, there's, as many ways as you can think of to do these things. So to do house clearing, to clear a space, to empower a space. You can think it, you can chant it, you can, just use your eyes, use your breath, invite the Reiki energy to clear the space, invite the Reiki energy to empower the space. What I'm going to show you today are tools that you can use. And I'll go ahead and before I keep talking about them, I'm going to go ahead and screen. Oh, wait, no, I changed my, not screen share. I'm going to change my camera. And so this, hope I have the right one. Okay. So Robyn, maybe spotlight that. So what I put together here are some of the different ways and tools that I use, techniques that I do to use Reiki energy to accomplish this goal of clearing the space. Some of you will recognize the tools that I use them for multiple purposes. So this blue bowl up here with the candle in it is also used for a burning bowl. This bowl over to the left, you can see there's just a stick. Let me see if I can raise it up a little bit. And you can see what it is, that bowl is water. And I have dissolvable, let me see where it is, dissolvable paper that's going to go into the water for clearing. And we also use that in the gratitude ceremony and in place of a burning bowl. This one that I'm going to use, I'm actually going to use completely as the space clearing tool, and I'll show you. I'm going to use Epsom salts and alcohol. I'll line my bowl with foil, and I'm going to use Reiki energy, imbue it all with Reiki energy, and that's the way I'm going to use that tool. But I'm going to demonstrate that step by step. And then this bowl on this side, I just wanted to show that even though these bowls that I have, they were actually made, and the pottery itself was made and imbued with Reiki. So they're kind of already sacred bowls. But here's just one of my regular oven safe bowls that we can imbue with Reiki energy to create a sacred bowl out of it and to use it for the tool. So it doesn't have to be a special bowl. But in this case, what I'm going to show you, Robyn talked a lot about smoke cleansing tools last week. And this time I'm going to show you this technique, which has fire. So of course you want to use an oven safe bowl. So this is the alcohol that I'm going to use, and it's rubbing alcohol, and you can see that it's 99%. You can use 91%. The 70% doesn't really work because it doesn't light easily. So it kind of just makes the salt soggy. And then of course over here I have matches and fire. And so I'll show you how to use that too. So when I talk about these, again, what I'm trying to do is also clarify that what we're doing is using a technique that has these as the tools for the technique that allow us to work with Reiki energy. And the energy is what is actually doing the work to clear the space and empower the space. So anyway, that's what we are going to do. And so we're going to do a longer invocation in a minute, but I just want to take a minute because I can feel my voice is a little crackly and it's getting harder for me to speak. So I want to do just a quick invocation, bringing the Reiki energy. And then I'm going to actually demonstrate how to use these tools. So just take a minute and close your eyes and take some deep breaths as we open our heart and receive that we are here today for the purpose of demonstrating how to use Reiki energy to clear space and the tools that we can use for that. So we invite the Reiki energy to be here now and for each person as you create your own and find your own way of clearing space and your own tools and techniques using Reiki energy to clear and empower the space that you live in, the space you are in, the land, and perhaps even your car or workplace, wherever you feel guided. And so we're also inviting the enlightened ones and the power of Reiki that is here for all of this with all of us. Thank you. So it is. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that image. Robyn, anything that you want to add before I go forward?
No.
Okay. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do actually is screen share. And what I'm screen sharing is our website, reikilifestyle.com. And if you go to the Reiki library and scroll down to Reiki articles, there is an article here called Imbue Your Sacred, here it is, Imbue Your Sacred Objects with Reiki. And so that's one of the things that when I said the bowl that was, just my oven safe bowl that I use for cooking, I'm going to imbue it with Reiki so that it now becomes a sacred bowl for this purpose. Also, now I like to always download the actual article in Reiki News Magazine. I also want to do a thank you to Gaia Orion, whose artwork is here. But this is what we do to imbue your objects. Here's an example of it. Imbue your objects with Reiki. So we're empowering the energy of Reiki into these tools and using a technique with the Reiki energy. So this article tells you all the different steps to do that. There's 5 steps. You want to clear the object, say thank you, imbue the object with Reiki, place the intention into the object, and then seal Reiki into the object. And then the article has all different ways that you can do that using Reiki energy. So again, you can find that on reikilifestyle.com. So we want to show you where the resources are for it. Okay, so now I am going to change my camera, and Robyn, then maybe go ahead and spotlight this again. Okay. So this then, again, we have different tools here. And this one is the oven safe bowl right here. This one is the other one, and I'm using both of them for the same thing, just demonstrating 2 different bowls. So I'm not going to use this one right now. I'll use this one, but I just wanted to show you that you could. So I always have, when I'm working with fire, I always have something like a stick that if I need to, I can tamp it out. Trying to watch the camera at the same time. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and line it with foil. And I'm going to do that just because it'll make smut marks on the side of the bowl. And I actually would prefer it not to. And I want to, it also makes it really easy to clean up afterwards. So that's all I'm doing is putting the foil in the water. I'm using regular Epsom salts. Now, one of the things I'll say with Epsom salts is a lot of times they're scented. And for me, I don't prefer the scents, but that's up to you. So I like to get unscented Epsom salt. And I just pour it into the bowl. And I'm eyeballing all of it. I don't have exact measurements. And I recommend that if you're going to do this, the very first time that you do it, you want to make sure that you are in a place like your bathroom or a kitchen sink where, when you actually light it, you have something you can do with it if you feel like you need to put it down easily and quickly. So practice it first. Then take the 99% alcohol. And again, I'm just going to pour it into it. Now the bowl is already imbued with Reiki. I'm actually, because I'm trying to multitask right here, I'm actually imbuing this with Reiki as I go, thinking about it. If I were not trying to talk and demonstrate at the same time, I would just go ahead. I would actually be using my hands and putting Reiki over everything as I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do now is just pour some alcohol in there. And you can imagine that the alcohol is actually going to poof. What happens with it is that the when the fire is lit, it's going to draw that energy that needs to be healed, needs to be released from the space into the salt. Reiki will then take care of that energy and heal the energy itself. So I would naturally take more time and put Reiki energy into it, drawing the symbols over it. Again, depending on the amount of time that you have, that you can, think the symbols, you could sing them into it, you could chant them, you could just hold the bowl this way. So whatever way works best for you. But again, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly. Again, remembering Reiki is already working. If I take longer to do everything, that enhances my experience, but it's not required in order for Reiki to do this work. Okay, so then what I do is I also like having a bowl that I'm comfortable carrying around, or this is the one too that, remember last week I was talking about it and I said, I'll just go stick it in my shower where I know it's completely fire safe, and I leave it and let it draw the energy into it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and light it and you'll see it'll poof like that. That's kind of what it does. That's why I mean, you need to practice it and make sure that you feel safe when you're doing the work. And so then I let it either burn in the space, or if it's comfortable, because this bowl won't get hot, I can actually carry this around and invite the Reiki energy as I'm walking through my space, through my home, to clear those negative or unwanted or wonky energies that can be in the space. So this can be a very unscented way to do space clearing. If you are in, let's say, a place that it's not appropriate to use something like sage or Palo Santo because of the scent or the smell, or if people have allergies, this is another way, but this is a powerful and effective way. We also do this same thing for a burning bowl ceremony.
Hey, Colleen, about
Yeah,
how much alcohol would you say? Would you say it's maybe a quarter or an eighth of a cup?
I would say a quarter of a cup.
Yeah. Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, I just poured it in, but that's why I say test it to begin with.
Mhm.
I have sometimes put too much in and it gets soggy and you can't light it. So too much doesn't necessarily make a bigger fire. Sometimes too much will actually, soak it all. The other thing that I have done is I've added more as I go if I need it. But again, I'm always paying attention to where I am. I'm pretty familiar with this. So, that poof doesn't startle me anymore. But at first, I had to kind of learn how to get comfortable with the poof. But anyway, that's going to draw that energy right into the salt. When you dispose of this, salt dissolves in water. So you can put it into the ground, you can put it, soak it in water. Do not throw it into the trash, assuming that it is not lit. So be very careful when you are complete with it into how you dispose of it. So you can just get it wet and that'll, soak it and salt dissolves. And Reiki it, because the Reiki energy is actually what now has what you've released. The salt is not holding the energy of the negative energy that you've released. It's a transference method. Okay, so everything we just talked about, you could also do with a candle. And so we talked about that last week. And I would do the same thing here, is imbue it all with Reiki and invite the flame to clear the space, because the flame now becomes that conduit with the Reiki energy, and they all work together to clear the space, heal the space, and empower the space, because it's going to fill it up at the same time. And the beauty of the light of the candle, you can imagine that empowering the space with the beauty of the light. So the other way I wanted to demonstrate is through water. So let's say fire isn't going to work with where you are and what you need to do, and you want to use water. You could do all kinds of things with the water. One of the things that we do often is,
Colleen, can you
yeah,
switch the water bowl with the Epsom bowl? Thank you.
okay.
A little more towards the candle. There you go. Perfect.
There we go. So the other thing that we can do with the water is I have actually used dissolvable paper and put Reiki symbols on it. I have some words on it of things I'm aware of that I know need to be cleared in my house. And then some words with Reiki symbols that I want to be empowered in my house. So now what I'm going to do is I would go into the space. Everything has been empowered with Reiki energy. The intention is with Reiki energy and the water now to do this same work. They're just different elements, and it'll feel a little bit differently. So now we can put the water. This is dissolvable paper, and you can get the dissolvable paper on Amazon. Just type in dissolvable paper. And then I like to have a stick, and I might do symbols, and I might just invite the power of love here and the blessings of the water to clear and cleanse this space, to empower it with love and happiness, solution, stability, all different things that I might want to invite. I invite the water and the Reiki energy to release any unhealthy energies, any stagnant energies, any place where I am limited or I feel restricted or resistant. And now I invite the water, and I invite this power of love and life to fill this home, to fill this space with life force and vitality, creativity, beauty, and love. So those are just some different methods you can use, techniques you can use, and to clear and empower space. And again, many of you may recognize these tools that we have used the same tools for multiple purposes in the gratitude ceremonies, burning bowl ceremonies. We can do this with clients. We can do this in our own space. Like I say, I think in terms of cleansing my car. You know, if you commute a lot, that's an area that can really use some cleansing. And you could pick any of the tools. We've been talking about this all month. You can do Reiki on the fly. You can use these tools quickly. I've also made hour-long ceremonies out of these and the process of clearing the space too. A lot of that depends on the experience that you are creating, need to have, and want to have. The Reiki energy is already automatically doing this work. And so it can be done multiple ways. We have an article on our website called um, uh, Reiki on the Fly, and that's another good one to use. Um, uh, to understand that you can use Reiki quickly too. And then the article Robyn and I wrote about imbue your sacred objects with Reiki, that is on there too. There's quite a few different articles on our website that we've written that talk about imbuing sacred objects and how we use these tools with Reiki energy to accomplish different purposes. So I think I feel complete with that, Robyn. Is there anything I need to add or you want to add?
I was just trying to think of some of the questions that we've had in here. So I think one of the most common questions is, if you're going from room to room with it, and how you could do that. So with the Epsom salts, for example, you could just carry it from room to room. Of course, we say all of this with the caveat of safety practices. Same with the candles. You could light different candles in different rooms, or also redo the Epsom salts in the different rooms that you might want to clear. In the dissolvable paper aspect, you could carry the water to the different rooms to clear, but one suggestion could also be that you would just do different words in the different rooms, because my words that I might use in my kitchen are going to be different than in my living room, are going to be different than, like you said, Colleen, in my car, things like that. So you could do a different list for each of the rooms that you're in. Also, in addition to that, with like the idea of feng shui and the different bagwas in the different areas of your house, that would be something that you can Google. Is that you might want to have different lists for, let's say, like your abundance area of your home, or your different words, or different, clearing for the health aspect of your home, the health bagua. So there's just different ways that you can look at it. A lot of it is also doing what you feel connected to and you feel called to with it all, and really just listening. And then also, of course, filling the space back up with Reiki, as Colleen said kind of previously to that. So after you've cleared, like let's say you are really connected to that water version of it, and you are doing the dissolvable paper of things that you want to clear. So you do the dissolvable paper, you clear the space, and let's say it's in the abundance corner of your home. Another thing that you could do is that you could, send Reiki also to manifest the things that you want in that area of your home. And that's just an example. You could do it in your kitchen. It doesn't have to be done by the feng shui. It could be different things, like your kitchen, you want to manifest different things that might have to do with your kitchen. But the bagua is an easy way to kind of talk about it. So you could leave a piece of paper with the words that you want to manifest in that area of your home. You could leave an imbued crystal, like Colleen was saying with that article. You could leave an imbued crystal with the manifestations that you want to have in that kind of the energy of that piece of your home. So, or any of your spaces, I should say, any of your spaces. So those are just a few different things and ways that you are also filling the space back up, and also, putting intentions into that different space in the different spaces within your home or space.
I think the main thing is to just let Reiki do the work and show you how you want to do that. So, there's every reason that you may want to do some space clearing. There's every circumstance where you may just need to, like I say, sometimes I'll just take this bowl and go stick it in my shower. And I walk away from it. Okay, Reiki, do your thing. And then other times I really enjoy the full experience of carrying the energy around to each space and really spending time with the actual technique. Remember, it's the technique. The Reiki energy is flowing through the technique to do the work. And Reiki energy works with, as many techniques as any of us decide are what we want to do in the moment. But these are some of the ways that we like to do things and some of the tools that we use. And for multiple purposes, the Epsom salt works great, as a burning bowl. We'll be doing a burning bowl ceremony in January. We'll let you guys know. It'll be, one of the distance Reiki shares at the beginning of January. And we'll also be doing a gratitude ceremony this November. And so again, one of the distance Reiki shares. So you'll see how even, we're using these same tools in multiple ways and for multiple ceremonies. And the difference is the intention that you set. And then again, how you want to actually, what technique you want to use and how you want to do it. So lots of different right ways to do it. So let it guide you and show you, and know that Reiki energy is going to show you your way that works for you.
And Steve had a good suggestion that you can just put the bowl in one spot and use the distance symbol to also send to the different spots. And for those, I know we talked about land clearing. Obviously, with the fire piece of it, you would want to make sure to have extra safety around that. So you could use the water idea for that instead, depending on where you live, of course. And so there are those pieces to it too. And then we've also been talking about space clearing this whole month of September. So we have all of the other videos up on our YouTube channel, which is Reiki Lifestyle. So we have, kind of the one that we did last week, which is more kind of traditional ideas of what we have with space clearing. We have how to do it with Reiki, how to the reasons why you may need to space clear, and then also like things like the Reiki trails and chanting, toning Reiki symbols, things like that. Those videos are also up on our YouTube, so you can catch some of those as well. And then the other thing is you can use some of these techniques like an Epsom salt bath. I know many of us are very familiar with that for its beneficial qualities, and we may use it for relaxation, but you could also use kind of the same concept of the idea of the Epsom, or of the water dissolving with the Epsom salt bath, and kind of clear your own self, and then Reikiing it and sending that water down the drain. So those are a few ways that you can also use it, kind of even thinking outside of just that one container of it. And then to also get rid of it, you can Reiki as it's going down the drain with the Epsom salts. You can return the Epsom salts to the earth, of course, making sure that they are completely out. Maybe you've doused them in water and then return them into the earth, or just Reiki them as they go down the drain. So that it's also, that Reiki is also kind of taking care of that piece as well, or supporting that piece is a better way to say that.
Yeah. So with discarding it, anytime you're doing anything with fire, definitely make sure the fire is out, before you discard anything, assuming it. I definitely know of some of those stories. So fortunately, it hasn't happened to me, but I do know of people who thought the fire was out when it wasn't. So always make sure of that. With Epsom salts, of course, water, but you can also bury it, but again, paying attention to fire safety.
You could reuse the Epsom salts for another session if you need to. That was a question in there. For me, obviously dependent on what you're able to do, that's the first priority. For me, I would try to use, and you can do it even in a small, like a small amount of Epsom salts and alcohol, so you don't have to use as much at a time. But I would say for me, if you're able to, I would use new ones for the different sessions, just because like I would prefer the energy of that clearing to be, dissolved and let go of, and, start the energy of a different clearing, especially if it's for different people. Kind of like, that dry bathing idea of the Kenyoku, of like just releasing that energy into the light of Reiki.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and essential oils for those of you that use those. Again, some of the Epsom salts themselves have, different scents.
Lavender, things like
Yeah,
that.
lavender. For me, I'm pretty fragrance free most of the time. Well, as often as I can be, just because I have allergies to it. So anyway, yeah, these are just ideas. And Jess wrote that she has some articles about it. Lots of different things. You can even Google space clearing. We've just done kind of an extensive discussion around it for this past month, because it's a big topic. And I know I am hearing from a lot of people that um, just things that are going on in their life that I think space clearing would be a really good idea for you right now. And I have been using it for me, because I'll notice my mind starts going, kind of in that downward spiral. I will stop, notice it, invite Reiki for my solutions, and often doing something like this, even quickly, um, can just clear up the energy in the space around me.
Those darn retrogrades. I have 6 planets in retrograde right
Yeah,
now. It has something to do with it,
yeah.
and just the world in general.
It really is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's a lot of comments about the different ways that you can space clear essential oils, flower essences, different herbs, things like that. We did do a video on that last week, and I'll put the link in the chat. I just have to pull it up. Or Danny, if you could do that, that would be awesome. So there's a lot of different ways, and there's many right ways, and it also can change. So again, just really listening into that kind of guidance within you and what you're feeling called to in that moment. Sometimes it's fire. It's not just to do with safety. Sometimes I feel like I need the fire. Sometimes I feel like I need the water. Sometimes I need the earth, and sometimes I need the air. So it's just also dependent on what you're feeling called to, guided to, and connected to.
I use chanting a lot.
Yeah.
I walk into spaces and I just either say or chant the names of the Reiki symbols. Also, the other one, and it's on the YouTube, so we don't need to go into it specifically, but also playing the music that you use for clearing too, like Reiki chants is another good one to just have playing in the background too.